Streaming live from the beautiful city of Hollywood, Florida, USA. This is SoFloRadio.com.
Welcome to Rick's Show on the radio, October 16th. I'm with my guests, Vivian Orozco, Kailen Malafacarum. Let's listen to a little bit of the Black Bats for a little while, and we'll come back here, okay? Got a lot of stuff to talk about, right, Vivian? All right. Yes, sir, Kailen.
Ich liebe die Nacht und mehr als ich liebe dich. Ich bin für immer dein und ich bin für immer allein. There's a light in my heaven, reaching out to touch my skin. I must avoid the piercing radius, shelter in my coffin from the day. Darkness whispers my Darkness kisses me away. Ich liebe die Nacht und mehr als ich liebe dich. Ich bin für immer dein und ich bin für immer allein. I rise at dusk, summoned by shadows. A nocturne pleasing to my soul.
Love that song. Love the Black Bats. How about the Black Bats, huh?
Really good song.
Yeah. Can't wait to hear them October 25th. Yeah, Theater of Vampires. Well, I'd like to welcome my guests and of course acknowledge my buddy George there. George
How you doing?
Rodriguez makes everything
I think somebody
happen
turned his
for us.
microphone off over there. I'm going to take these microphone switches out.
My bad.
Oh, yeah, you do want to talk. Yeah. But again,
He might not be on,
everybody-
I don't know. Say something.
He's talking and I cannot hear him.
Oh no.
He's not Nosferatu either. He's not a
No.
silent film character. Yeah. Well, welcome, my friends, which you are my friends, and I'm glad to have you guys on my radio show here. This is great. Vivian Orozco.
Great to be here, Rick.
Yeah. And my friend Kailen Malafacarum, who can't really say anything because his microphone.
Great to be here.
He's great to be here, too. I can tell this is going to be a fun show.
I'm helping. This is going to be great.
Yes. You guys are theater people, for
Check.
sure. You got a theater vibe going on, man.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that kind of stuff. And it was great meeting you from the Florida Table, which
Yes.
is a great organization of actors and producers and filmmakers around here. And, well, we met, it was about a little over, maybe less than a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
now?
less than a year ago. Mhm.
Right, and came on and helped you out with this big project that we're going to be talking
Yes.
about here. One of the biggest projects that I've ever worked on.
Oh, man.
A gargantuan, epic undertaking of doing a documentary that lasted. How many months did we work on this documentary for the Renaissance Festival?
We filmed for 6 months, but
6 months.
it's funny because it doesn't feel like it's that big, but I think it's just because I really took it a step at a time.
Right.
I think if I saw it for what it was, I'd probably just jump out a window or something.
Yes, if you would have known then, you wouldn't have done it over. That's I feel about that a lot of projects. I go, oh yeah, I could do that, and then I start doing it. And it's like,
you're like,
oh
oh, wow.
it's a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
But
I'm
every
just
project's
making-
a learning experience. So I think while there are things I would do differently, I wouldn't take it back for anything in the world.
Yeah, definitely, I would say so. And it was great to meet you too, Kailen. You were a standout. I mean, I saw you bouncing around doing Shakespearean stuff, and I thought, you know what, this guy would be fun to work with someday.
And now you have the chance to work with me, and is it all the fun that you ever hoped it would be?
So, Vivian.
Oh boy! I
And
was
now
thinking to myself,
I'm gonna
no, this
jump
is gonna
out the
get
window.
really awkward, really fast.
Oh no, it was fun. We'll talk about my experience, and I had like one of the best experiences I've ever had working
Yes.
in that unlit situation there. From working behind the scenes, getting to know everybody, see how a massive production such as that is undertaken. And of course, we're talking about the documentary for the Florida Renaissance Festival, which is the name for it is
Between Myth and History, Florida Renaissance Festival.
right.
Yeah.
Right. That was a lot of fun.
It was. It's a very. I think it was really cool that I had the experience, so I knew what I was getting myself into. But as much as I tried to prepare the crew, no one really had that same experience. And it wasn't until we hit the field work that it really became real for everyone, I think. And that was when it kind of hit everybody. Wow, this is not something that can be created in a day. It literally does take a village and over a year's worth of planning.
Right. And how long does the festival go on? From March?
The Florida Renaissance Festival, the show itself goes from February through March. We're 6 weekends right now. There has been some talk of extending a weekend. Don't quote me on that, though. You can go to www.ren-fest.com for all the latest information on the Florida Renaissance Festival. But yeah, that it's a long period. And before that, we're in rehearsal for four months before that. We start workshops and then we go into placement auditions and then we go into rehearsal. So it's a whole process.
So as a matter of
to it.
fact, you were already starting the process this month for this Florida Renaissance Festival. Is that correct?
We have actually gone into workshop mode. We started our workshops in October. And it's funny how quickly things changed because everything in the documentary that we have has kind of done a 360 since then. We've entered a whole new way of organizing the workshops. We have a new director. We have a whole bunch of things kind of happening and just sort of changing, but it just kind of goes to show you how fluid that industry can be.
Yeah. So let's get back to a little bit of a personal history so we get to
Okay.
know Vivian Orozco here a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're from and, that kind of stuff.
Oh, me. Right.
Yeah, just briefly a little bit about you, my dear.
No, I'm Vivian.
Sorry, I got confused for a minute there. Anyway, so yeah, I actually graduated from FAU with a degree in technical theater. My focus was actually in costume, so I have a very good knowledge of historical costuming, patterning. I actually trained with a couture tailor for a long time, so I know a lot of different things from couture sewing. So if I had wanted to go that route, I totally could have. I also got dual majored and ended up going into 3D computer arts and animation, which branched off into my love of film. So what had happened was, I have to open the story like this because it's a series of coincidences, I guess. Computer arts and animation program was underneath the fine arts department. Somewhere in the middle there, they swapped from fine arts to communications. Communications happens to be the department that also handles film. Because of the department switch, we were exposed to all of the film work as well as the computer arts and animation background, which is how I began developing an interest in film. And from there, it really boiled down to me kind of getting this training that I didn't feel like I really needed until later on when I found out that this was something I really want to do. But that goes into a little more of how Humaya started and Humaya's history. So I don't know.
Humaya, that's your film company?
Yes.
First time we're mentioning that, right?
Yes. Humaya Films is my film company. We are a registered LLC. I'm really excited to announce that. It's like a new thing.
Yay.
Anyway, so basically the way that I condense Humaya's story is it boils down to one question. What would you do if you could do anything? And that's really what it came down to, because after college, I was paying off my student loans. I had a job that I would not trade for the world. It was really good. It's a great job. I'm still there now. I couldn't ask for a better job than this, but I still felt a little like I was unfulfilled, just because my degrees were in such creative spheres, and my job kind of is not in that same sphere, that same creative sphere. I still felt like there was something missing. And then during that feeling this way, I had a whole series of traumatic events happen to me. Like someone in my family tried to commit suicide. I don't want to go too much into that, but there was a lot of traumatic experience that led me to finding my life coach, Amelia Maynard. And she was the one who asked me that question, just because I expressed to her how I was feeling. Yes. And the answer to that question was film. What I really love more than anything in the world is telling stories. Ever since I was a kid, I would create these entire stories and worlds from nothing, to the point where the other kids in the kindergarten class would pretend with me.
Nice.
Just out of nowhere. They'd all drop from the playground. We had a whole thing with a princess and a dragon that we just made up.
I could see Kailen doing that with you if he's a little kid. Too.
I would have totally done that.
Yeah,
I'll still do that.
class.
It doesn't even have to be kindergarten. I'll do it right
now.
now.
Oh
He'll
my
be
God.
a dragon right now.
Let's go slay a dragon. But yeah, so from that point, I gathered a group of friends who each had their own specialties, who really kind of were in the same kind of rut that I was, still looking for something to do outside of
An
what
expression.
Yeah, to express themselves. And we created our first short film, which became Memento Mori. It's a great little short film. It's about a car service driver named Chris who winds up driving around this old woman. Taking her on a trip through memory lane as to help her find closure. Very touching little story, and that was actually a film that we submitted to the Sundance Film Festival.
Wow.
But in that process, we met a lady by the name of Deborah Hurd, who actually introduced me to the Florida Hampton table and started my education in film.
Oh, wow.
And so once a Memento was finished, we did submit it to Sundance, and we were ultimately rejected from Sundance. And a lot of people would be like, oh, well, that sucks. I don't think so. Not in my point of view. I really took a lot of lessons, and there were a lot of gifts that I got from that experience, especially because it was my first time directing anything. And I really didn't have an idea of what I was getting into until after that film.
Did you write that story?
The story?
Yeah.
Well, I wrote down what the gifts were, if that's what you mean.
Okay.
I mean, I took away from the experience the importance of sound to a film. You don't really realize how important sound is to a film until you hear a film with bad sound.
Yes.
And
Go to 48-hour film festivals. You'll hear that.
God. Bad sound can really destroy a film. It's awful. So
Bring you a happy day, just so you know.
Yeah, there's a scary sound for you.
he's so excited. But yeah.
Remember that one?
That. Oh,
Yes, THX.
Oh my God. But
The audience is listening.
I took that with me into Between Myth and History, which is why I made it a point to bring in the boom mics and bring in a post-production sound editor who may or may not be Kailen Malafacarum over there.
Depending on how this interview goes, right?
I'm still doing a happy day.
Okay. So
He's
far,
still
so
dancing over
good.
there in his corner. But yeah, it also helped me understand the complexity of the film set and all the work that goes into it. And really, 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 I don't think I appreciate anyone more than my production coordinator, because that person is basically like the stage manager. That's the way I see them. They're the stage manager for an entire film, which is in my experience you're working with a lot more than you would normally in theater. In theater, you kind of have a set space. In film, it's very fluid and things are constantly changing, and the production coordinator has to be on top of that.
Wait a second. You had a production coordinator? You didn't do all that stuff?
No, I did half of it. My production coordinator, Kavita, did the other half. But yeah, a lot of it just goes to show how many people are really involved in the experience. Yeah. And it's when you take the theater experience, which is sort of the same thing, you have a group of people just coming together to create something, and you take that with you into film, and you really start to see that it's almost magical what a group of people can create.
Yes, and one of the things that really attracted myself to the film business was just watching the credits at the end of these large movies and going, man, all these people got jobs, they're all like, this guy was, he's holding a stick, and this guy, fed these people, and then people that go out and scout out locations.
Exactly.
And there's so much, and every one of these little aspects is a science unto itself.
Exactly, and if you don't get them just right, it could make or break your film. It's crazy how the littlest thing. It's all like cogs in a wheel. And the last thing I took away was the kind of investment that goes into filmmaking. You don't really realize until you start to make your own films how much money you're actually spending.
Feeding people.
Not even feeding people. Costuming. If you're costuming, props, the equipment, actually being able to pay people. And then in addition to that, craft services and all this other fun stuff, you're sitting there like, how am I gonna make this all work?
Yeah, it takes a lot of people. It takes a village.
Yes.
Certainly does.
In this case, a Renaissance village.
So Humaya started out with that one production, and the name of that production was again?
Memento Mori. You can actually find that on our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel that lists everything that we've done up to that point.
I believe that when I first met you, you were just coming out with that film back then, and you were just getting involved with the Florida Table back then.
Just getting involved with the Florida Table, and I actually both my director of photography, Fernando Barron, too, came from a Hampton Table contact, and you.
Good friend of mine, yes. Fernando's a great guy.
Yeah, good, amazing.
We love you, Fernando. Say hi.
Yeah, if you're listening, man.
Yeah.
Except for all the camera shakes. That's okay.
Oh,
sorry, that was out loud,
that
wasn't
was mine,
it? Oh no.
yes. You
Take
were
it back,
thinking,
take it back.
We can edit later.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll edit it out in post.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty much Humaya's story in a nutshell.
Yeah, so you went straight from that to the Renaissance project?
Yes,
Because
actually,
that's quite a big thing. Most people do a few little short films and kind of get stuck in there, and instead of like, oh, let's do something that like takes 6 months to film and gives me
and requires
how
a huge
many
crew.
miles of footage? Let's say
we shot
hours. How many
4 to
hours?
1. It was a 4-to-1 ratio. We shot 4 times more footage than we needed, and that's not including what we've lost, because I just found out that we lost quite a bit of footage from at least one day.
What do you mean lost?
As in, it's currently in someone's computer, but that person...
in the beginning.
Yeah, in the very, very beginning. So I have to see if I can get that footage back. If not, it has to be considered lost.
All
so
right.
that's at least a day that we've lost, not including what I haven't gone through yet, because we're still going through footage.
Really?
This has been a long process, but I think the way I approached this was really... I don't see the point in being afraid to try something huge. Why not?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because at the end of the day, where are you going to be? You're going to be exactly where you were where you started. And if you're comfortable there now, then what the hey?
Good idea. Yeah.
That's the way I approach things. That's why I went for Sundance. I kind of went in going, what the hey? If they pick me,
Whatever.
awesome. If not, right back where I
Shoot for the
started.
moon.
Exactly. And you may land among the stars.
I agree with that. So how do you know Kailen? And how long have you guys known each other?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Actually, I think we first really started talking during the Renaissance Festival.
Yes.
I started performing with the Renaissance Festival again, and I say again because I actually did.
You were performing in the beginning. That was how
when
it
I was in
started.
high school, I was doing Renaissance festivals, and then about 2 years ago, I got back into it.
Yes.
And it was that second time around. Sorry, that I
It's breaking things.
yeah, I'm breaking stuff. That I ran into Vivian.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was fairly recently, like a couple of years ago. Or
I would say so, but it feels
yeah.
like it's longer because you build such a bond.
So it's a
Very
one
awesome.
Renaissance festival before the one that I was
Yes.
involved
Yes.
with, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it always feels like you know me for a lot longer.
Yeah.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
Makes you
for
wish
at
that you
least
just
5
didn't.
years.
You must be an old soul. You're either an old soul or really annoying. I can't
Yeah, I'm
decide.
gonna go with the latter.
So you work with Humaya here.
Yes, absolutely.
And you guys are involved in a Renaissance Festival together. And let's just a little bit about your involvement in the Renaissance Festival. What did you do in that?
Last year, I performed as one of the Shakespearean actors. There was a troupe of Shakespeare actors wandering around the fest, putting on plays, doing monologues. It was actually a phenomenal bit, and I really had a great time.
Yeah.
The year before that, actually, I was the assistant to the Cardinal. That was the first year that I
Yes.
kind of made my way back into the Renaissance Festival. Funny story about that was I came way after auditions, and I had said I would love to be a part of this again. And they went, well, we can't pay you. And I said, you were going to pay me? And they went, you're hired. So, I helped out the Cardinal and had a small role myself. And this year I'm going to be back. I believe we're going to be doing the Shakespearean troupe again with a small twist to what we did last year.
Same people involved in a Shakespeare?
No clue, man. I have no clue.
With our festival, you never know what you're gonna get until you get it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of the way to
right.
approach it.
I would love to hope so, because we had such a good chemistry between us. It was a blast to work with them. They were
Can
amazing
you mention some of the
talent.
guys' names, some of the people's names that were involved in
Oh yeah,
the thing, or-
absolutely. There was Sarah Manzoa. She played our diva. There was Sergio.
Sergio.
Sergio, yes.
He's a good guy.
An amazing actor.
Master
Yes.
swordsman as well, right?
Also
Yes.
Master Swordsman. There was Denise, who is in the
Who's in the documentary? Sergio's
and-
also in the documentary, but he's also a certified combat instructor for
Yes.
stage combat. So he
Right.
actually runs a lot of the stage combat workshops. Very experienced. Don't ask him to remember anything. Though.
Oh, no. There's another one of
So,
those little things.
Sergio,
Maybe
I love you. I promise I didn't mean to say that out loud. Sorry.
we edit that one out too. You're
That's
gonna
going
get
out in post,
Fernando
too.
and Sergio, man. Well, I'm sorry. You were gonna.
No, it's okay. I just didn't want to forget anybody because I didn't want them
yeah,
to feel
yeah,
left
right,
out.
we're
We
still
also had
going.
CJ Landrum, who was kind of in charge of our group, or
Yeah.
that was his role.
He played Colonel Peacock, not unlike the character from Clue.
And Anne
uh,
Freites, who is the matron. And
I hate to do this to you.
Is it? Did I say it
it's
wrong?
Freites.
Freites. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. It's Anne Freites. No, that's fine. I didn't pronounce Sergio's last name because I don't remember how.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think
You want to give it a try?
It's Giannis.
Yeah.
Sergio
Giannis.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know if I mentioned John Holland,
Yes,
who
John
is an amazing actor. He was a blast.
That's a big, tall guy.
Oh, yeah,
he was
he's a good
fantastic.
actor. I like him.
Amazing actor, and believe it or not, it's so funny. What I loved about this documentary is you realized how accomplished some of these actors and actresses are. John Holland has a degree in physics.
Whoa.
And you would
really?
I didn't
never
even know
guess
that.
that. Never in
Yeah.
a million years. He's a master at his craft. He really commits to his role, and and I say that in the most loving way possible because I keep thinking of his death scene.
Oh
He
my
had-
God! In
there
Pyramus
was
and
a-
Thisbe.
Yes.
Oh.
Where he just kept.
Wow.
He would be asked to keep dying over and over in different ways, and he would just think of all these creative ways to kill himself.
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
It was phenomenally comical. It really was. It was
Yes.
brilliantly done, and it was actually one of our favorite productions to do towards the end of the day. But we had to do it at the end of the day because that death scene took so much out of him that if we
Really?
did it earlier on, he'd be spent for the rest of the day. Yeah,
Yes.
it was pretty awesome.
Another good thing about the film business or theater, who thinks of those things? There's these things you really have to apply yourself towards.
Yes.
Dying.
Over and over and over again.
Well, Miss Vivian,
Yes.
not to interrupt your flow of
Okay.
conversation, but
Sure.
you brought a bunch of videos over here for us to see.
I did. I brought a
And
bunch.
I think maybe we should play a few of those. Let's
Ooh.
take a look at what's the first video you want to show? This is
The
regarding
producer.
and this is
yeah.
about this.
These
is
are
about-
all small trailers highlighting different principles from the film, starting with the producer, Bobby Rodriguez.
Bobby
So-
Rodriguez. So, George, can you play a little bit of that for us, sir?
You know it.
All righty.
My name is Bobby Rodriguez, and I am a producer-director of special events and entertainment. I was approached back in 1990 to produce a special event for a support group for the soon-to-come Broward Center for the Performing Arts. So I put some of the creative juices together and I came up with this idea to put on a medieval fair. We would have the peasants groveling at their feet. They loved that idea. And so that was the beginning of the seed being planted. I thought I was a genius coming up with this idea, not knowing that they already do it all over the country. But needless to say, that's what sparked this whole thing.
Bobby has just got this magical way of making this happen, and out of all the other shows that I've ever done, it makes me want to come home.
All right.
Yeah, and we're back.
And we're back. So, yeah, that was the producer, Bobby
Yes,
Rodriguez. Let's talk a little
exactly.
bit about him. He's quite the fellow.
Yes, Bobby Rodriguez is actually very accomplished. I would call him the Renaissance man of his day. A very creative person, owns Bobby Rodriguez Productions, which ultimately hosts the Florida Renaissance Festival. You kind of see in the film how much he has to deal with on a regular basis on the festival day, because we actually followed him one day on the very first day. He asked us to, because he was like, I really want you to see what I do, and the majority of what I do happens on the first day of the festival. And it was funny because so much of the footage is a little I want to say burn notice, where you see the camera, he'll be in the car and he'll see something, and then he'll have to run out, and the crew will
Right.
just pick up and leave. So you'll see the camera go up and then go back down, and you'll see him dealing with different things. Like
I followed him around for a little bit there when
Exactly.
I think he was yelling about one of the the vendors there that was not doing something right, and I don't know, it was the turkey guys, the turkey leg dudes.
I think that the issue was that one of the stoves wasn't working. He
Right.
wasn't because Bobby's not the kind of person that openly yells at people. Like you really have to be trying. Like you have to like punch him in the chest or something to upset him, because he's one of the most unflappable people that I've ever met.
I guess you need that to be a producer. You can't have a producer going,
Yeah, he's very calm.
I don't know what to do now.
Very calm and very easy to get to know, very easy to speak to, which is funny because when I was newer, I used to be really intimidated by him. Like, I didn't want to talk to him. I thought I was always going to say something wrong or I was going to look bad. But you know what? Because I've had to deal with him directly throughout the whole filmmaking process, I've kind of gotten to know him and his family, and really, they're just a bunch of really, really nice people. I enjoy the time that I get to spend working with them creatively on this, and they really, Bobby has been, I think if Bobby hadn't supported me on this, I don't think this film would have happened. A lot of this really is due to his support and him saying, you know what, do this, I'll do what I can to help you in his own way. I mean, because of the nature of the film itself, I didn't take any money from him to create the film.
Right.
It really is it was an act of love for me for how long and how much I'd done and how much I've been there and what I'd seen, because I saw the story there. And most filmmakers start with what you know. And this is what I knew the best, which is what inspired me to take this to the next level and make a film out of it.
Yeah, I saw that when Bobby had his on the first day, he was doing that whole thing and just going all over the place. I mean, he has some really good crew members with him too. Who's the gentleman that is in charge of setting up everything?
The site crew head, that's Scooter. Oh, well, his nickname is Scooter. I'm sure his real name's in the film somewhere, but because I know him as Scooter, it's automatic. That,
but it's not SCOOTER.
No, it's SKU. And it's that funny little U. I'm sure it has a fancy technical name that has the 2 dots on top.
An umlauf.
Yes, an umlauf. We'll go with that.
And I think his name is Scooter.
Well,
I think that's how
something
his
like
name
that.
is Scooter.
We'll have to ask him for the correct pronunciation of his name someday. But yeah, he amazing, very, very intelligent. Again, very intelligent person. Interviews. Some of his interviews, the content that we got out of them was just amazing.
Yes, he's been. Last time I saw him, he was covered in mud from head to toe, as a matter of fact.
Because he also does the mud show, which is a lot of fun.
It is. That whole thing is a lot of fun. Actually, to tell you the truth, I had, for this year, some of my fondest memories are at the pub sing, when the weather is just so beautiful and cool, and the sky is clear, and you see the little kids in their little angel wings, and everybody's singing. It was like very memorable. A really nice thing.
When we started writing the narrative part of this film, we actually nicknamed the pub sing the bread and butter performance. And the whole reason it got that name is next to the Joust to the Death, it is one of the most attended events at the Florida Renaissance Festival. Everybody goes to pub sing. It's just an incredible experience for the cast, the crew, and the patrons. Because when you're all together singing Health to the Company as one, it really drives home this idea of unity and of almost a family, I would say. Because I really view them as my extended family. It was funny because throughout the entire documentary, I would be saying names or like this person, that person, that person, because I know almost everyone who works there by name. You know, and if I don't know them, I get to know them. I'm always I'm one of the first people that walks up to a new person and says, "Hi, how are you? I'm Vivian, and you know, here I am."
I don't think we actually mentioned that your part in. We're talking about you filming, which is a big deal, but actually you had a big part of the Renaissance Festival.
Oh, I'd call it more of a minor role, you know.
Minor?
You really, I faded to
the background. Well, there's the king and there's a queen.
And then there's the princess.
Exactly.
Which is who I play. I play Princess Juana of Castile, who eventually becomes Queen Juana the Mad, or Queen Joanna the Mad, depending on whether you're from England or Spain. But yeah, so she...
So she's a little crazy in that thing? I
don't know what you're implying here.
There was a lot of giggling and laughing, I remember.
She does a great job of portraying that kind of happy dementia.
Happy
she really
crazy.
does. It's a happy crazy.
It's almost uncanny, isn't it?
Hey! That's not how I am in real life. if that's what you're implying.
So, you know what? Another
Twitch. Sorry.
Thanks a lot.
another great aspect about the Renaissance Festival and also about your film here, which is the music.
Oh, yes.
We were just talking about the pub sing and all that, but I mean, they have like little booths around with real period music, instruments.
Yes.
And so as far as like your film goes, I know that you, of course, have a soundtrack with that as well.
Yes, we are actually working on developing that right now. We've approached the musicians. Actually, at the very last day of the festival, I basically said, if you're a musician and you have music you want to submit to this film, let me know, because we have a lot of great bands. We have, I could list them all by name, but there's too many to name. I've actually gotten special permission. You didn't have the chance to see him because he passed the year before, but I got permission from his wife to use the rights to the music. His name is Owen Fife. Amazing musician. Actually did period music and has some beautiful songs. So I'm looking forward to being able to feature some of his music in my documentary. I really consider that a great honor, and the fact that his wife is allowing me to use it is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that whole soundtrack. And speaking to the soundtrack, Mr. Kailen Malafacarum is also involved in that process as well. In which capacity, my friend?
Actually, I'm going to be helping her spot all of the music that we're going to be using from the performers at the Florida Renaissance Festival, and I am also composing some original pieces of music for the principal roles. Is
that right?
Yes.
Oh,
Kailen's a very accomplished musician.
Yes, I understand that, and he's a bass player. Everybody, which
that level of accomplishment that everybody just thought of just went
Right.
Wait a second.
He's a bass player. He's not a musician.
I come from the line of race of bass players myself. Okay, so I can speak with knowledge on the subject of bass playing.
I can actually just see one of my friends listening and watching the show right now and going, should have never mentioned the bass.
Well, at least it's not drummer, okay?
He's a drummer. Actually, to bring some life back to me, I am learning how to play the violin.
That's awesome.
That's I'm really enjoying that too. So hopefully I'll get some mad music credit for attempting. It is a very difficult instrument.
So let me ask you about your process of scoring. How many pieces do you need to score, and what was your approach for that?
Wow, that's a great question, actually. I have 9. I figured that I would write little motifs for each principal role. There are 9 principals, so I'm planning on writing 9 pieces of music, each between 3 and 5 minutes long. Not really being too familiar with the characteristics. Actually, the characters and their personal opinions of themselves and how they would sound. I actually came up with a questionnaire that allowed me to kind of figure out what the tempo of the music would be, the time signature would be, the key of the music might be, also what instruments might be more prevalent. And that actually, gave me a really decent launching point. Presently, I'm working on King Ferdinand's motif, and
I'm sure Adolfo's out there somewhere. Yes! Because he's the king.
Yes. Yeah. Does he know that you're on the radio today? I hope so.
Yes, he is aware, actually. Several of my friends I posted on my Facebook, so most of my friends should be aware at this point.
Well, we still got a half an hour of the show. And by the way, if anybody wants to call into the show here and ask us any questions, either Vivian or Kailen, the number to call in and ask any questions is 954-990-0036. You guys call in and ask us some questions if you'd like. George Rodriguez is standing by there ready to answer the phone.
Sure.
There's no screening. No screening at all, right? We just go straight on with that.
That's right. All the cranks welcome, just like the people that crank me all day.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Sure. Why not? Let's say that. I haven't had a crank yet, so I might as well get one.
You haven't made it yet.
I know. Until you get
You're not big until you get cranked.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe I get a Howard Stern crank. That would be good, right?
If any of my friends are watching, be careful what you wish for. And crank call in 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Actually, to tell you the truth, I'm very interested because, I am a composer myself.
Yes, you are.
And I am interested in the process by which you said you made up a questionnaire.
Yeah, actually I did.
And can you give me like a real life example of like, you answered this question this way, that's why I chose this time signature or this instrument?
Okay. Gladly, actually. We were speaking about King Ferdinand, and I'll just stick with Adolfo's character then. For instance, one of the questions is your character an optimist, a pessimist, or realist? Is your character a realist with optimistic tendencies or a realist with pessimistic tendencies?
And it gets real specific.
And as a composer, what do you think that would help?
Mood.
Right. Well, mood, which would also be relative to key and whether the piece is major or minor. So from their responses to that, I kind of took whether I would write in the major or if I would start in a sus and then go to major. For instance, King Adolfo says he's a realist that borders on optimism. His piece actually starts in the key of D sus, or D major, and it's a sus chord that starts the piece off, and then it goes into the major chord. One of the questions I asked was, is your character, intense and driven? Is your character, more depressed? Is your character super happy, super hyper? King Adolfo. I'm sure. You know what? I'm pretty sure right now Adolfo's going, yes.
Yeah, we're talking about him. That's what he loves. So
good.
Adolfo had said that King Ferdinand was very intense and driven. That gave me the time signature of 5/4.
5/4.
Yeah,
Wow.
5/4 is a great time signature for pieces of music that are really, really intense, in my opinion. Gustav Holst's Mars, the Planets Suite. Mars is written in 5/4, and it's just this fantastically brilliant, like warning type of music.
Right.
I'm trying to think of any of the other questions. Oh, tempo-wise, I had mentioned tempo.
Right.
If your character, I said, is your character constantly in a rush? Is your character never really in a rush to get anywhere? That gave me an idea of, if their character's slow-moving and doesn't have anywhere to go, right in the tempo from 80 to 100.
Right.
If their character is kind of, not rushing to get anywhere, but definitely not in too much of a hurry or so, 100 to 110. If the character is in a hurry a lot of time, then 125 up. So
that's cool.
Questions like that
that
kind of gave me a musical idea of at least what people thought their characters would sound like.
And it's really funny. You would think with all the technical speak that this questionnaire would be so long, which is what I was expecting when I got the email, and it was only 5 questions. And from those 5 questions, he gets all that.
How about
which is
instrumentation?
Fantastic.
Actually, one of the questions on there was specifically in reference to if your character kind of could associate him or herself with an element, what would it be? And in my opinion, each section of an orchestra has an elemental reflection. The strings could be, fire. Percussions and drums could be earth. Things like that.
Makes
so
sense.
I had said, what element would you pick for your character? Fire, earth, air, water, metal, and wood. And Adolfo picked fire, so he has a lot of strings.
Okay.
And of course, since he's the king, one of the things that I kind of embellished on my own was I thought that he should have a lot of horns and trumpets, kind of blaring his announcement.
Yeah,
It's
right.
got that royal feel. So the very intro of the piece of music is a horns blast that intros the king, and then it goes steadily less horns, more strings.
And now, the equipment that you use for composition. Now, you're an engineer, right?
I actually went to Full Sail University, and I have a bachelor's degree in music production. And they did teach me how to compose using several different types of tools. My favorite, personally, right now is Logic Pro X. I think it's
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's a brilliant compositional tool. I do all my engineering and editing. For instance, when she sent me the sound files to go over and clean up the voiceover files, I used Pro Tools. Pro Tools is fantastic for engineering, mixing, mastering, and that kind of stuff. Well, sorry, not mastering, but engineering and mixing. Mastering is its own animal.
Right.
So I tend to use Logic to compose and Pro Tools to mix and engineer.
Great. I'm glad to know you, my friend. I've been scratching the surface on the Logic Pro software that I'm using, just enough to, make noises. Not really to put any subtlety into it yet. So maybe we can help out. You can help me out with that someday.
Gladly.
But you know what? That's what makes our business really kind of awesome, is that you learn while you're out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You learn from different people what works for them, and while you may not while you still have to round out your education, I would still say, go back to school and get an education in film, just so that you really know what you're talking about. There are enough people out there that'll step in to help you and help you learn, so that you have a basic knowledge, which is really kind of what happened to me.
Speaking of Adolfo, why don't we play the next video? I believe for that, because it's a good.
Since we're on the subject of Adolfo, he'll love it.
Who happens to be the king?
Adolfo.
Let's go ahead and play for. It's called The King.
My name's Adolfo Jose Herrera. I've been performing at this festival since 2006, and I play King Ferdinand of Spain. Since I work the night shift as a concierge, I tend to live life like a vampire. So when everybody's rushing off to work to get their Starbucks coffee and live life like normal people, I'm coming home to have dinner and go to sleep. It's boring, mundane, which is pretty much why there's a lot of focus on the festival, since it seems to be the high point of the calendar year.
He became cast as King Ferdinand of Aragon when I got cast as his daughter, Princess Juana of Castile. And that's how we met, and somehow we bonded, and we've been best friends ever since. He and I sort of have that kind of crazy relationship where we can just go to each other about everything and anything. We can say anything to each other. We're both very candid. I know I can go to Adolfo with any problem and he'll help me solve it one way or the other. I know that of everyone in my life, he's one of the people that I can really count on.
By the way, folks, that was Adolfo the King there. And for those of you that are, listening to the show and want to watch on the internet there, because that's what we do. We switch back and forth between audio, just us talking, saying hello on our webcam. But we play these videos as well. And if you have any issue, watching the videos, you can go to SoFloRadio.com. And how do you do that, George? How do we watch
You click on the
videos?
TV logo in the upper right-hand corner. You have your own show page there. That's the link that you should be telling people here. Go here, and then you've got an embed right there. There's a video screen right on your own show page. If they click on your logo, like on SoFlo. So anything, either the thing that looks like the TV or your own box there, that when they see your logo on the front page there, Rick Show on the radio box, there's an embed right there on your page.
Thank you very much, sir. So that's how you can watch the videos here, because we got a couple more we want
or
to show.
SoFloTelevision.com.
SoFloTelevision.com.
That's right there. It's feeding right now.
So so you don't want to miss these. We a lot of really cool trailers for this awesome, epic, documentary coming up here. Plus, I want to show you some pictures of our Theater of Vampires production coming up. So please click on the watch live thing so you can take in everything that's on the show here, okay? As a matter of fact, young Vivian, you've sent us some other videos here.
Yes.
Which is?
Basically, we did a series of trailers for each principal leading up to our big, giant master trailer. It's going to have a really fancy sound. We're looking forward to that in December. So
am I.
Yeah. That's one you're working on now?
Yes, he's working on that right now as well.
Okay, so what's this next video? It's I have the princess. Is
it's
that the
the
next
princess.
one?
Yeah,
and who's
this
that?
next one's going to be the princess.
That would be you.
Yeah, I think so. Last time I checked, I'm pretty sure it's that or my evil twin, Vanessa.
Let's watch the evil twin of the princess.
Hi, I'm Vivian, and I work at the Gordon Group as an administrative assistant. I also play Princess Juana at the Florida Renaissance Festival. Compared to my job at the festival, this job is actually a little slice of normal. I try to tone it down when I'm here because I have a very out there, bubbly personality. But I try to keep it at a professional level because here it's very much about being a professional and doing your job and dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's. I've been working at the Renaissance Festival for about, I want to say like 12 years. I got involved in the festival when I was 15. I started with my medieval history club and I began with an apothecary character actually. And I sort of worked my way up to a lady of the court, and then I ended up being cast as princess back in 2007, 2008-ish. And the directors really liked me, but they ended up casting me as Princess Juana.
Vivian and I, it's kind of this weird rent dad, rent daughter thing, which art became life, and my relationship with her is far more actually healthy than it is with my own kids. We argue, we bicker like a real father and daughter do, but there is a genuine affection there. There's a genuine love. The relationships I've made at Flarf will be long lasting. Vivian's one of those ones that's like the strongest one. It's family.
That's beautiful. So was that the first year that you played Princess Juana?
No, I've actually been playing Princess Juana for quite some time now. I've lost track of time, but but I really did have to kind of go up through the ranks to earn that. And I was very happy when I first got cast in the role. So, and I really enjoy her. I have a lot of fun playing her and working with the kids especially.
Yeah, there's a lot of that was one of the best things about. Of course, the other thing was the bustiers. That was a nice thing too.
You mean corsets? There's a difference between a bustier, a corset, and a bodice. Those are 3 different periods, at least 100 years apart from each other. Well, the corset not so much, but the bodice and the
but they all do the same thing, Vivian. You know what I'm saying?
In different ways, because some crazy male fashion designer decided the female body should be structured this way. Let's make it work. Oh, great!
I don't think it was a straight guy. I'm just saying that.
No,
just putting that out there.
We like the female body the way it is. We're not trying to reproportion anything over here.
Thank you.
Don't hang that on us.
Okay, sure.
But there was a lot of gathering together, though. We appreciate that as well.
And boning.
Yeah,
a lot of boning.
Lots of boning. Yeah. But
I'm here for comic relief. I'm the jester. Everybody else has a role. I've even got the hat. It lights up. See?
I think they actually dedicated a whole weekend towards
yes,
the
Bodacious Bodices weekend, which I believe is one of the weekends that's coming back. They've actually just restructured
by popular demand.
Yes, but yeah, they've just restructured all the themed weekends. So we have some new weekends. My particular favorite, I believe there is going to be an Adventure in the Orient weekend, which is really, really cool because yes, Asia did exist during the Renaissance, and they did have a civilization, believe it or not.
Wow.
Japan was there.
That would be nice. A lot of cool kimonos and
kimono. I'm looking forward to seeing some Chinese influenced period clothing, which is actually
very beautiful.
Yes, also very beautiful. Although the further back you go in the Japanese period, the more layers they like to wear, and the longer everything got. You know, I'm not really sure why that is. I didn't research it as much, but I do know that's
global warming.
That's what it is.
That's it.
That's totally it.
It was colder back then, so
yes, there's that whole miniature ice age thing that happened. That's why the Spanish covered up.
Do you think you're still going to have the what is it, Time Travelers or my favorite
Time Travelers
Steampunk?
Weekend is coming back.
Yay.
I am not 100% sure about Steampunk because I don't remember it on the list.
Well, wait a second. Wasn't Time
same
Travelers?
Thing as Time Travelers.
Well, Time Travelers and Steampunk.
Interchangeable.
So yeah, Steamies go to Time Travelers Weekend.
Awesome. All right, that was really cool.
Yeah.
The Princess. I want to show all your videos here before the end of the show. So please tell us the next one here.
The next one is actually one of my favorites. It features Edward Stinson III, as he likes to call himself, and Suzanne Michelle Lawrence, who also happen to be 2 of my favorite people. They play a lord and lady of the court, and this is their story.
Lord and lady.
My name is Suzanne Michelle Lawrence.
And I'm Edward James Stinson III.
I'm from Delray Beach, Florida. I was born in Kingston, Jamaica.
She has all the history. I was born in Boca and 20 feet away to Delray.
I've been with the Renaissance Fair. This past year was my first year. Before that, I have been attending every year that it's been going. And he started
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Well, I'm the captain of the guard. I think that's a pretty awesome title.
Actually, self-promoted captain of the guard. My role came about from a character in my book, and her name is Alestra. Really, she's more of a, I want to say a disciplinary type of character. She makes sure that the women and men of the court are respectable.
Well, when I joined, it was like a dream come true to even be able to say, why, yes, I am a part of the Renaissance Fair. It was the coolest thing ever. And so after a year, it was awesome. And so I was like, hey, I might have a female mother companion. So they're like, well, yeah, sure, let's work something out. She ended up in the cast. Everyone knew everyone else, so it was really cool as a close-knit family.
So that's a mother and son team there.
Yes, mother and son team. Edward and Michelle have been doing the festival. They're actually, I think, one of the newer. They're the newer members of the cast. So it's nice to have their perspective.
How about Ed's voice, huh, man?
Oh my gosh, when my voice grows up, it wants to be just like Ed's voice.
Yeah.
I want him to be my voice double.
I think Edward is very unique. I think he's looking for narrative work now, so.
Yeah. Maybe he could do my answering machine for me.
A little bit. Yeah, he'll leave a voicemail for you. It'll be great. But yeah, among the we actually they're the first half of a family unit, and it's really interesting because they bring a lot of diversity into the cast as well, and they talk about that. Performing from that perspective.
You know what? I want to bring up a thing that was really a cool thing that happened during the Renaissance Festival.
Okay.
It happened to be that, there's not a lot of black people in the Renaissance Festival. And then here, and Edward was there. And there happened to be a thing where there was a very young little black kid. And
Yeah.
Remember
so
this.
you tell me the story. This is really awesome.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Edward managed to talk this kid into coming to the Renaissance Festival by relating to him on his level, because the child felt that there were no people of color, of African descent, of black people, whatever you want to call yourselves, people of other skin colors.
Right.
That's the technical term.
Okay.
Yes, so basically, he didn't feel that he could relate.
And how old was he?
Very, very young. I'm telling you this
6.
experience from a third-hand experience because I was not there. This is just a story that was told to me. And Edward kind of actually sat down and spent a lot of time with him for like maybe an hour.
I heard that
like
the
that.
little
Yeah, it
boy
was
was
some-
stuck outside the gate for a while. He didn't want to come in.
He didn't want to come in because it was such an issue, and people have this kind of stigma that people didn't exist. That people from Africa, people of color, people from the Caribbean, they weren't there. I'm not really sure why that exists. Maybe it's just the way history is written, because it's history written by the victor, I guess. I don't know. But in any case, it's really interesting because they kind of say, no, we did exist. And it's true. Actually, a lot of the Moors that came into Spain came in through Africa. They were Moorish and they were Islamic, but they were African tribes that had been converted to Islam. And that's actually kind of funny. So when you refer to people as a Moor, you're actually referring to them as a person of a darker color, black person, whatever.
Right.
So it's really interesting that they're kind of a reminder of, yes, we were there, we did exist during that time. Much the same way I say Asia had a civilization too.
So Ed stuck with that with the young boy there for a while.
Yes, and he managed to get him to come in.
Convinced him to come in, and he had a good
convinced
time.
him, there is more diversity to this festival than you believe there is. And he basically shattered the idea that basically Renaissance Festival is a place for white people, because
Right.
it really isn't. It's a place for everybody to just come and escape. And I hesitate to say that we're 100% historical, because we really kind of aren't. We really are a place that is suspended between myth and history. And it is a place where once you walk through those gates, the world outside doesn't exist anymore.
It's role playing. No one's actually playing their ethnicity anyway. I mean, maybe some people are, but if you happen to be of Scottish descent, maybe you'll gravitate towards kilts. But but Spanish people are playing English people, English people playing
German
Portuguese.
there.
Well, there's no typecasting either,
Right.
but because we have such a diverse cast, we're able to play that up and really create a worldly court in a different way from most of the courts around the festival, around the country. Because really, the idea of a Renaissance Festival has existed for quite some time. They actually started back in California and have expanded since then. But most of the festivals
I was going to say they started back in the Renaissance with the Renaissance festivals.
It
goes way back.
Way
Well,
back.
actually,
Way
those
back.
were different kind of festivals, and I could get into that. But anyway, the Renaissance Festival, as we know it, as fair with different performing players and blah blah blah, here in the United States, started in California and spread out from there. But what you'll see is most of the courts. The majority of the courts are all English. You're either doing Henry Tudor or Elizabeth. There's only 2 courts that I personally am aware of that are not of English descent. One is the Louisiana Renaissance Festival, which does a French court, and the Florida Renaissance Festival, which does a Spanish court, which is, I find very funny, because when we found out we were doing a Spanish court, a lot of people, we swapped from English to Spanish. When that swap happened, a lot of people were very angry that we weren't doing an English court anymore, and I was like, I don't know if you know this, but Florida originally belonged to Spain.
Yeah.
And we sold it to England because it was swamp.
Right.
and
Right.
we didn't want it.
In 1826. It's actually been Spanish for more years than it's been
Yes,
American
then
or
it's
English.
been
So it
American
was
or
still-
English or whatever, what have you. And
It's
it
a
was literally
Spanish
sold for
name.
that reason. It's like this land is full of alligators and mosquitoes and malaria
Yeah,
and swamp.
can't turn
We
about.
have St. Augustine. That's about it. Here you go.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what
People
happened.
didn't start moving here until air conditioning got invented anyway, really.
Yeah. Well, we have this idea that because the English became so prosperous later on in history, we forget that there were other civilizations that were more powerful than them.
Portugal was
before them.
gigantic back
Portugal.
then.
Portugal was a big thing. The Spaniards had one of the most formidable armadas in Europe at the time, and it wasn't until Elizabeth was able to defeat them in the Channel that armada was really stopped. So, you know, these are powers. These were world powers. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? So it's really kind of interesting that we can break that mold and bring that diversity in.
But that one story about the little kid was like one of the best, one of the most
Yes.
magic moments of the whole Renaissance Festival, and the story swept throughout the cast.
It did.
And it gave everybody goosebumps when it was told at the meeting. It's a meeting they have every day.
The morning meeting.
Right.
But you know what? That's really what it's about. It's about spending that time with the patron and making them want to come in. That's how we get people, is those experiences, because that child now has a story to tell the next child. So that instance is going to happen less, and more people will feel like, yes, I can come to the festival and I can have a good time, and it's okay. It doesn't matter what color my skin is. It doesn't matter where I'm from.
I think
You know,
she
and
really
that's-
summed it up well when she said that the Renaissance Festival, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
It
certainly
really,
is.
really is.
Yep, absolutely. So, real quick, my dear,
Yes.
what is next for you and Humaya Films? What are you doing next?
Well, I've got the next 3 years pretty much laid out. We've actually got a new project. It's a faith-based film. It's called Messiah, the Son of God. 3 guesses who it's about, guys. 3 guesses. Come
Buddha.
on. Yes.
Yeah.
Moses.
It's totally
Ding, 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 I
Buddha.
get the
It's
prize.
totally Moses. He's gonna. But no, actually, it's a different take on the story of Jesus Christ. It's not just another passion movie, as I like to
Right.
call them. It's more than that. It's really about. It follows the train of thought of how Jesus discovered his spirituality and what made him become the person he became. And it's an interesting project, and it really is an exploration of spirituality as a whole. However, I'm waiting on, basically I need to work on getting funding for the project. And I'm really kind of looking forward to really exploring that and kind of saying, you know, this is who he was outside of the mythos and the way that he is portrayed in the Bible, because you have to remember the Bible was written by man. You know,
Yes.
it was man, and man is flawed. God may not be flawed, but man is flawed. So I don't, it's not to say that, you know, not to throw any contradictions or anything out there, but I just wanted to kind of put that aside and see him as a person.
That sounds right.
And say, you know, how did you discover who you were meant to be? It's really what I'm asking. You know what I mean?
Right.
what-
And when can we look forward to that production getting going?
Whenever someone hands me money and says, make this.
All right.
As I say.
Well, I
and then
know-
we have a couple, we're hoping to turn Between Myth and History into a TV series.
Really?
Yes, we are going to be pitching to a couple of major networks, and we're hoping to be able to take it to different festivals around the country. And
Great.
do some little documentary type works on that. And there's a
So
second.
you're very busy young lady, and I must say
Always.
it was a great pleasure to work with
Yay.
you on the
Yes.
Renaissance Festival. I admire your work ethic.
Thank you.
That's one of the big standout things that I see about you is if you're on a set and you're ready to do something, you're in charge and you know what
Yeah.
you're doing, and people listen to you, and that's a good vibe to have when you're a director.
Thank you. Yes, I try.
All
Try very
right.
hard.
I know we have one more video
Yes, we
we
do.
want to show.
Yes,
so
actually.
can we show this one more video? And I want to talk to
Yes.
Kailen a little bit about theater
Theater
vampires.
vampires.
Okay.
Sweet.
This one here is called The Clerk.
Yes, it's about a family in the Renaissance Festival.
Hello, I'm Jim DeFabia, and this is my daughter Emily, and our governess Monica Taylor. I'll be playing Sir James Spongeworthy.
I play Lady Marie Taylor, and this year is a new role for me. I am actually going to be a governess.
And my character's name is Lady Emily Spongeworthy. I am Sir James Spongeworthy's daughter.
I start out as being the clerk of the town. The king falls in love with my daughter and hires me as his royal secretary and is going to whisk us away to Spain. I like to make people laugh. That's what drew me to this in the first place.
All of our characters are fictional, but we based them on that we are a family unit. There were obviously governesses and nannies, and there were children who were precocious, and we draw upon our own personalities in our characterizations.
Hi.
And we're back. That was the clerk.
We're totally paying attention right now. This is totally happening.
That was the Spongeworthies there.
Yes, the Clerks family.
Great group of people.
Yep. And if you want to keep in touch with more trailers, we have a new one coming out tonight. Follow us on Facebook, Between Myth and History, Florida Renaissance Festival.
Awesome. All right, then. You know what? To close out our show here, I want to talk a little bit with Kailen about our production that we're working on called Theater of Vampires.
I'm so excited, guys.
The Trial of Lestat, as a matter of fact, in which, Kailen, you play who?
Lestat, as a matter of fact, if you can believe it. I know that this is really, really hard to believe, but for those of you who are actually watching the video feed, this blonde beauty before you, this is not my normal
We got
hair
a picture
color.
up of you right now. There.
Oh, thank you.
We'll go with the punum.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the punum.
Yes. Actually, it was a choice between a blonde wig and
the blonde
dyeing the hair.
Dyeing the hair, and I went with the dyed hair. Actually, during the Florida Renaissance Festival, I was Thisbe during Pyramus and Thisbe, and I had to wear a blonde wig, and it was horrible. I didn't want to repeat the experience. I figured I'd just go blonde this time.
Well, I want you to know that Ricardo Bocanegra, leader of the Black Bats, and I appreciate the efforts you're putting into this production here. We're really looking forward to this thing.
So am I. I'm super looking forward to it. I'm actually really excited about it.
Yes, it's a transmedia production, meaning that it's not just a theatrical performance.
A lot of trannies.
There's a lot of trannies involved. Yes. Thank you, George, for that.
Thanks, George.
And I guess people are looking at some pictures up there. This is our cast, our lovely cast. We have Dominic Daniel as Dracula. And a whole bunch of other people. We got Queen Lana and her husband Joseph from Queen Dementia.
Awesome band, by the way.
Yeah, awesome band. And the Black Bats are going to be performing. We got
Another
the
awesome
Lost
band.
Boys there. Yes, sir. We got a lot of good stuff going on there. And that's Joseph, our ringleader, right there as Nosferatu.
Nice.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's on October 25th.
Doors open at 7.
At Cinema Paradiso.
Buy your tickets at www.theaterofvampires.com. That's www.theaterofvampires.com. One more time, www.theaterofvampires.com. Buy your tickets now!
Sunday. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Okay,
it's actually Saturday, guys.
end
Sorry.
plug.
All right, so next week I'm going to have Dracula himself, Mr. Dominic Daniel, and Mr. Bocanegra are going to be talking about this all day long. But right now, I'd like to thank you very much for attending Rick Show on the Radio. Yes. Vivian Orozco,
it was a lot of
Kailen
fun.
Malafacarum. It was a great show.
It was an honor to be here.
Yes.
It was a great honor to be here.
We're going to go out with Black Bats.
Black Bats.
Oh,
Good
awesome.
idea. All right, listen to the Black Bats. Good night, everybody.
Good night.